Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the All Dolphins podcast. He is Omar, I am Poupart, and Omar, we're getting close to it. Start of training camp practices next week. Fun times ahead.
Yeah, but you just finished your fun time. You just had a nice European trip. It's on the trip you just took is absolutely at the very top of my bucket list. You got to see Rome. You got to see the Colosseum. I don't think you made it inside the Colosseum.
But I did.
You did make it inside the Colosseum.
Yes.
I need to see a picture.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Yeah. So, what was the highlight of your European cruise trip?
The highlight of my trip was it was fabulous. What we did is we wanted to sample as many places as we could in the amount of time that we had, which was a little more than 2 weeks. So we did a Mediterranean cruise. So we wound up seeing different cities in Italy, Spain, and France, where we ended the trip in Paris as a different from the cruise, because our daughter, who was celebrating her 16th birthday, July 9th, had been talking about she wanted to see Paris, the Eiffel Tower, and all that.
Every woman wants to see Paris, and I will say Paris is my least favorite place that I've ever been to, and I've been twice.
Okay, well, I was born in Montreal, so maybe that plays a role in it.
Okay.
And Montreal's got a little bit of a European feel to it. I absolutely love Paris. If I had to say a highlight, my wife and I completely blown away by Italy. Every spot we saw, whether it was Rome, Florence, yes, we did the Tower of Pisa, yes, we did the Colosseum, went inside the Colosseum. Florence was great. We saw a little town called Positano, which is basically, you can navigate it only through stairs. It's like on a hill. There are no, it was completely fabulous. Absolutely phenomenal. Vacation of a lifetime. Want to go back to Europe. Now we're already talking about next summer. Do we do Northern Europe? It was incredible. No ifs, ands, or buts, exclamation point. Absolutely. Could not recommend it more. And again, depending on what you want to do, for us, the idea of being able to sample different places, doing it with a cruise.
Yeah. That's why I want to do it with a cruise. I, one, like cruise food, and two, I want to see different places, and I don't want to carry my bag. So I just want you to take me there. I sleep, and then you take me somewhere else.
I will be happy to provide recommendations and tips and whatever you'd like when you schedule it. That out of the way, let's dive into it. Because as sick as it is, I'm actually looking forward. Yeah, as much as I enjoyed the vacation and didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
Once we were flying back to Miami, it was like, okay, let's dive back into it. Dolphin camp is about to start. Rookies reported this week. Two main things on our agenda today is both you and I did a top 10 list on a new series on alldolphins.com, which we will do periodically. Dolphin debate, where we both provide our take on one topic. This one was the 10 best players on the Dolphin roster, regardless of position, because you wrote a story about the most indispensable, irreplaceable players on the Dolphin roster, which is not the same, because then we're talking about position importance and who's the backup. This was regardless of position. And let's start off with the fact that we both agreed on number one, and that's Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely. I would argue to you that Tyreek is a top 5 player in the NFL, only behind a couple quarterbacks. I put him ahead of every receiver, including Justin Jefferson. He's just an elite dynamic talent that I've never seen, and I've covered a lot of greats.
No, and I agree with you. And the thing that with Tyreek Hill that cannot be emphasized enough is it's not just his own production. It's what he does for the rest of the offense, because of what he does to the opposing defense, and how just completely scared they are of having to deal with his speed.
Terrified of it. And not just that, but even I started thinking about it because I covered Randy Moss his freshman season at FSU, which most people don't even remember, didn't even know even happened. He got kicked out. And he was dynamic and unbelievable then. But Randy had very select routes that he can run, whereas Tyreek, there is no limitation to what kind of routes he can run. And he runs, I think Tyreek's best position is the slot position, because he can run nothing but option routes. And what do I do then? And do you want to press him and jam him? Are you crazy? So no question in my mind, and I've said this going back to last year, when I first saw him practice, I was like, holy crap. I've never seen anything like this. And I've covered Peter Warrick. I've covered the Santana Mosses. I've covered Andre Johnson. I've covered, a lot of greats. And he is by far the greatest weapon I've ever seen.
Yeah, and here's an important point I want to make about this too is Jalen Waddle set the NFL rookie receptions record in 2021. I don't remember the exact number, 103 catches or whatever. But his yards per reception was like 9.3. And then last year it doubled to like 18 something, led the NFL in yards per reception. And Jalen Waddle didn't get like super fast overnight. And I understand part of it was the play designs and the offense and the scheme with
better utilization. They made him a slot his rookie season.
Yeah, here's the thing. Also, the defenses were a lot loosened up once Tyreek Hill showed up. That's the point I was going to make. Is that Tyreek Hill created some space for Jalen Waddle. Do you think, hold on a second, Jalen Waddle had 3 touchdown catches of like 40 or more yards against New England on the 4th down play, against Buffalo on the deep slant, and against Green Bay where he took a short crosser. And he did that because he had space when he caught the ball. And that space, I will tell you, was created because defenses are so scared of Tyreek Hill and everything was loosened up. And this is where it completely magnified Waddle's speed and what he could do with it.
I hear where you're coming from, but I would also make the argument to you, and I get the point that you're making, but comparing his rookie season to last year and saying, oh, he's that much better because of Tyreek Hill. No, I think he's that much better because of utilization. They made him a slot receiver last year, his first year. How many deep patterns did he run his first year? And the attention, like nobody had to cover anybody else on the entire offense other than Jalen Waddle. So, he got a lot of attention, a lot of focus. They in their minds, they had to put him in the slot just to create that opportunity for him. And I think it's a decent position for him. I think he's got tons of skill, but yeah, is he going to benefit playing opposite Tyreek Hill? Yeah, I think everybody in the NFL would. There isn't a single person in the NFL who would not benefit playing opposite Tyreek Hill.
Okay, and again, I would maintain that his particular skill set, which is speed, more speed, complemented on the other side by Tyreek Hill, who, by the way, just might be even faster. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Not might be even faster.
But okay, but my point is, it's completely ridiculous that you basically have the fastest wide receiver in the NFL and very possibly the second fastest wide receiver in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill's presence, I would argue, impacted Waddle's production and increase in the yards per completion as much as anything else, including utilization, the play calling, and all of that. So let's move on with the list. We both had Teron Armstead at number 3. I don't think we need to talk about just how great of a pass blocker he is and how important he is to the offensive line.
Where I found the interesting debate is your number 2 versus my number 2.
Which is where I was coming at, where we both agree on positions. And I will preface this by saying I don't have a major issue with it because I think both of them are absolute studs. You had X at 2, Jalen Ramsey at 4. I had Ramsey at 2, X at 4. I can't even quibble. 2, 3, and 4 for me was
here's my justification for why I have Xavier Howard rated higher than Jalen Ramsey. I think Ramsey is the superior cornerback. If he continues to have another 4 years with the kind of career that he's had previous to this season, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I cannot argue that Xavier Howard is on a Hall of Fame trajectory right now. What I can tell you is who leads the NFL in interceptions from the point where he actually entered the league in 2016. Xavier Howard. And keep in mind that him and Jalen Ramsey entered the league at the exact same time.
Sure.
So,
but X has the best ball skills of any cornerback in the NFL. I mean, he's crazy good with that.
That's what my point is. And I don't know how people are not connecting those dots. And then if you connect the dots with Vic Fangio in terms of how he runs his scheme, where there's zone matchups. And so Xavier Howard, for the first 3-4 steps of the play, he's going to be facing the quarterback, looking at what the quarterback does, and then reacting to what the wide receiver does. I love Xavier Howard's anticipation, ball skills. If you put the ball anywhere off the mark and he's defending that wide receiver, he's got a 50-50 chance to bring that ball down. And I think that's going to benefit him greatly, tremendously, especially if he doesn't have to shadow the opposition's best wide receiver. Let's have Jalen Ramsey do that because he's a better press cornerback. One is a better press cornerback. One is a better ball getter. Give me the ball getter over the press guy. That's just me.
No, and again, you know what? Yeah, like I said, to me, 2, 3, and 4 was flip a coin. I don't have an issue with it. I think Ramsey maybe a little bit better all around. If we're talking about purely getting the ball, yes, X is
Fair, absolutely.
okay. Well, I think where we can both agree is I see lists of like top cornerbacks around the NFL, and X is being dissed like some kind
X
of
is never on it.
I don't get that.
It is what it is, and you know, you gotta have charisma and publicize yourself and cachet and marketability. X is like, pay me, give me the money. And as long as he's got the money, he's good. So, and I like the fact that he's off these lists, and he'll tell you, I had a bad season last year, even though he made the Pro Bowl, and you will argue that he had a bad season last year. X had a lot of things going on last year, including the growing, including the false allegations that were eventually dropped against him. I'm not even going to bring up what they were for. When you got a lot of that stuff going on, it makes it difficult to perform. I think his mind is clear. I think he's healthy. And if I'm X, I'm not participating in training camp. I'm doing my regular routine. I think he's going to participate a little bit, but if X takes 20 snaps during training camp, I'd be 20 snaps a day during training camp, I'd be highly disappointed because I want him healthy for the regular season.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with anything you just said, other than, I mean, you can't argue he didn't have a great season last year, regardless of the circumstances. That was an X. Okay,
it was an X.
Okay.
Still Pro Bowl, but it was an X.
I agree. And he was the first to tell you I shouldn't have made the Pro Bowl. I actually made a mistake here. Let me backtrack here, because I said that we both had the same at 2 and 4. You did not have Ramsey at 4. You had Ramsey at 5, because at number 4, you had Tua. I had Tua at 8. By all means, the floor is yours.
There is one player on this team that we all know and acknowledge that the season is done if he's not there. Correct?
No.
Huh?
I refuse to go there. I'm sorry, I refuse to go there. And again, if the season is done, if Tua goes down, then it's an indictment on the Dolphin management for not getting a better backup quarterback.
I'm not making that argument because I agree with you. I think they didn't do a good enough job getting a backup quarterback. However, I thought that you had Tua at number 8, and that was completely disrespectful. You had him, I believe, lower than Javon Holland, Christian Wilkins, and all of Javon Holland isn't really replaceable. But Christian Wilkins.
Again, whoa, time out. This is not a list about most irreplaceable or indispensable. This is best player, regardless of position.
Okay,
now you're going back to,
okay, you're right. Let me reposition my argument.
Go ahead.
Who on the 2022 Miami Dolphins team was in the conversation for league-wide MVP for a month last season?
Again, this is regardless of position. He plays quarterback. Obviously he's gonna Christian Wilkins could have 27 tackles for loss unless he combines it with
23 sacks.
23 sacks and becomes Aaron Donald. Will never be in the conversation for MVP because of the position. Our list was supposed to be regardless of position.
All right, let me reposition my argument again.
That's a whole lot of repositioning.
Who in the NFL was the league's leading passer rating, spent most of the season as the NFL's most accurate quarterback, and delivered the most big plays and big play passing? Are you really good? Who did that in the NFL?
You're talking about big plays like a 10-yard crosser to Jalen Waddle that
oh my God. Who's the number 1 rated quarterback when it comes to 20 yards or more completions?
With wide receivers who are open by 5 yards.
Who is that player? Say his name.
That's fine. Big O. I mean, Omar. Oh, wow. Omar. See, I'm so arguing. Omar, where do you place Tua among NFL quarterbacks?
I would put him in the top 15, and I'd probably argue to you that after this season, he will be in the top 5. Whoa, he'll be in the same conversation with Joe Burrow, same conversation with Patrick Mahomes, same conversation with Josh Allen. That's who his peer. Same conversation with Jalen Hurts. That's who his peers will be after this season. Now,
I'll buy Jalen Hurts. I'm not buying any other ones. Okay, where do you put Javon Holland among free safeties?
top 10. I'm not
which is higher than top 15. Where do you put Christian Wilkins among defensive tackles?
top 10.
Which is again higher than top 15. Where do you put Jalen Waddle among wide receivers? Again, this is regardless of, and here's the thing. I am not dismissing the possibility of Tua taking another big leap and joining the top 10. You said top 15, and I'm supposed to be the Tua hater. And I've told you before, I have a list. I got 9 guys who I see as clearly better than Tua, and I have zero issue. You want to put him 10? I'm okay with it. I think he in the next cluster. There's 5 or 6 guys in that cluster for me is Matthew Stafford. No, I think Stafford's clearly better. Is Deshaun Watson if he goes back to Cleveland days? Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins,
Dak Prescott,
those types of guys. And if Tua has another year, takes another step like he had last year, I think Tua possibly has a higher ceiling than Jalen Hurts. Because if I'm going to say that Tua benefited from the players around him, this wouldn't play well in Philly, but Jalen Hurts played on a completely stacked team last year. I don't see Jalen Hurts and go, holy smokes, this guy's awesome. Sorry. Even though he was awesome in the Super Bowl, I also think he's got the best offensive line in football. He's got 2 really good wide receivers in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. He's got a stud tight end in Dallas Goedert and a crazy.
The Dolphins should have.
But absolutely. Crazy good running game. So I'm not buying it. And I don't see Tua having the physical gifts to join the stratosphere of guys like Josh Allen, Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you regarding physical gifts. Okay. What I'm going to say to you is Tyreek Hill said he's the most accurate quarterback I've ever played with. Don't do that.
That's his quarterback. What else is he going to?
Don't do that. Okay. Let me make this argument to you.
Go ahead.
Last year, when Tyreek Hill was crowing up for Tua and parroting out how good he was and how good he was going to be, where did he lie? What lie did he tell? What exaggeration did he make?
Again, it turned out that Tua had for the record, I'm going to say the Tua haters going to say Tua had a very good year. Jair Alexander in Green Bay is talking up Jordan Love about what a stud he's going to be. Is anybody outside of Green Bay buying that? This is what teammates will do. Tua had a great year. Tyreek Hill.
That's not the argument that I'm making. What lie did Tyreek say? Now, I even thought that, this guy's going a little bit too far. He's like, come on, let's back it up a little bit. He made a prediction. Tyreek and Tua delivered on that prediction.
What prediction did he make? What he said, Tua is the most accurate quarterback I've ever played with. He's played with 3 of them. And if you want to say Tua is more accurate, first of all, in the short to intermediate range, because no, Tua is not a deep ball, that great, not terribly accurate when it comes to the deep ball. The deep ball, Omar, I'm not talking about 15, 20 yards where the receiver is open by 5 yards. That's not the
same.
If you want to say that Tua is more accurate on a 10-yard slant than Patrick Mahomes, okay, who's a better
accuracy? This goes into the exact argument why I've been a big Tua fan, even though Tuanon will not accept me and does not want me in. This is why I advocated for an entire year tank for Tua. Tua is that guy. The accuracy, the anticipation, the ball placement, the pocket presence. Those are 4 things that make elite quarterbacks. He has them all. He does not have a cannon arm. He's not ridiculously freakish athletic like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. But accuracy, anticipation, pocket presence, ball placement. Top 5 in all those categories throughout the NFL. What? No? You disagree?
Short to intermediate range accuracy. I'll give you that. Pocket presence. I know, and you've been pounding that for a long time now. I don't know where you get it. It's fine. It's not Ryan Tannehill. I'll grant you that he's got pocket presence. Ryan Tannehill didn't have. To say he's got elite pocket presence,
he does. He does. I don't There's a step up. You gotta watch. I watch line play. I watch.
And I don't. And dude, if a quarterback, and this is go back again, I'm going to make a point here. I can't deal with fans who are like, because one of the issues, and I'm sure you'll admit this, one of the issues with Tua is if the play's not on schedule, he's not as good. And then you'll see, you'll have fans who'll show you one clip of Tua making a play when the play's broken down.
And they'll show you and they'll show you the when you say his arm isn't elite, they'll show you him properly stepping and throwing a 15-yard out, and it gets there on the money. Yeah, he can make those plays when things aren't perfect. And with his offensive line, they have not been perfect for 3 years. He makes the most of what he has. And that's he has played with a disaster of an offensive line for 3 years, Poop. You will acknowledge that, right?
No, last year, when Armstead was in the game last year, the offensive line was not a disaster. And I think if I'm an offensive lineman right now, I'd get in your face and tell you that isn't disrespectful and insulting. The offensive line was perfectly fine when Armstead was in the game. And here's the other issue. It's not the idea of like him making a play. And it's the same thing with completing a deep pass. Yeah, of course, obviously Tua can complete a deep pass. Otherwise he wouldn't be in the NFL. Okay. It's doing it consistently. And then the other issue.
He can do it though.
Ironically, I don't recall a single deep pass to Tyreek. And I don't mean 20 yards on the field. I mean over the top to Tyreek Hill last year, where Tyreek didn't have to slow down and adjust to the ball.
He's the fastest man in the NFL.
That doesn't matter. It'd be nice if you could.
He had to do. I could show you 20 clips of them doing the same thing with Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, that's fine. Well, Patrick Mahomes not accurate apparently because Tua's more accurate than him.
listen.
And the funny part too is it's funny because you sing Tua's praises all over the place. And I'm the one who literally in a ranking of NFL quarterbacks actually has him higher than you. So
I gotta sit down and literally do a ranking. But I always say top 15, and just to defend myself, I always say top 15 because that's safe. Okay. I don't know if I would, and if I did him in the top 10, he'd be 9 or 10. I just haven't really sat there. Would I put him ahead of Stafford? No. Honestly, would I put him ahead of Dak Prescott? No. And that's where I am. Would I put him ahead of Derek Carr? I'd have to really debate that with myself.
Okay. Yeah, and this is where I sit, because I'm like, maybe. I mean, he's obviously more accurate than Derek Carr is. Derek Carr has.
Yeah, Derek Carr is clutch, and his fourth quarter numbers and come from behind numbers are obscene. And that's what I want from a quarterback. So, Derek Carr hasn't always played for the best teams in the world. I'm curious to see what happens in New Orleans, which I also don't think is a very good team. So, yeah. Would I put him ahead of Aaron Rodgers right now? I'd have to debate that with myself.
Oh, hell no. Again,
hold on. Let's do this.
Go ahead.
3 years. Do you want Aaron Rodgers? Or do you want Tua for the next 3 years?
We're not talking about 3 years, though. We're talking right now.
Okay, right now. I don't know if what you saw last year from Aaron Rodgers was a decline. You will acknowledge that, correct?
You mean a guy playing with a broken thumb or a busted thumb for a month and a half? Yeah, he didn't have a great year.
Okay, did he have a decline in his performance last year, whether busted thumb or not? Yes or no?
Without question. Well, then again, it's tough not to decline when you win MVP back-to-back years before that. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, listen.
I mean, come on.
I don't know who Aaron Rodgers is anymore, and I'll learn this year, but I don't know. I know who Tua is going to be.
Oh, you do? Is he going to be Tua the first 11 weeks or the one who struggled on the stretch?
First 11 weeks. First 11 weeks.
Okay.
He's grown up. He's a daddy now. He's focused. He doesn't have a coach beating him down emotionally. He's got a coach propping him up. He's got playmakers out the wazoo. Best trio of wide receivers in the NFL. I say that without any reservation.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, really? Because see, to me, I go Cincinnati with Chase Higgins and Tyler Boyd, but that's just me.
I'm sorry, they don't have a Tyreek Hill, and I really.
Jamar Chase pretty damn good. He's not maybe he may not be as fast as Tyreek Hill, but Jamar Chase is pretty damn good.
Yeah,
and T Higgins is a player.
I'd argue that Dolphins should have him instead of a certain wide receiver. if they would have done what they were supposed to do. But that's another subject.
Wow. Okay, that's another interesting one too, man.
It's the truth. Is it not the truth?
If they would have done what, stayed at 3 when they had that third pick.
Yes.
Yeah, but I had no problem with the 3. Man, we're diving into a different conversation here. I had no problem with the 3 to 12. I wasn't necessarily crazy about the 12 to 6 move. Shall we go back to our top 10 list or keep talking to it? Because we could keep talking quarterbacks for.
We will continue this quarterback discussion, and I feel like when we see it, we will know. And if he suffers an injury, the whole slate is wiped clean because none of it matters. But this is going to be his year. I've always felt like 2013 was going to be his I'm him moment.
Oh, 2023 was 2013 was 10 years ago.
I'm sorry, 2023. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the list. We all have Teron Armstead high. I did find your number 5, Christian Wilkins, a little high for my personal taste.
Oh, I know but you're a Christian Wilkins hater. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I am not a Christian Wilkins hater. I am a realist. Let me ask you this question: Christian Wilkins or Emmanuel Ogbah?
In a heartbeat, Christian Wilkins. And this is where you think a lot more highly of Emmanuel Ogbah, and we've had conversation. This is how I know you think a lot more about Emmanuel Ogbah, who I really like, who's a nice player, really good guy. I am of the opinion, I hate to say this, and I'm gonna be an Ogbah hater. I'm of the opinion that Brian Flores maxed out Ogbah like nobody's business in the way he used him. I don't think there's.
I'm of the opinion that Brian Flores' scheme and how they have off defensive linemen twisting and stunting and slanting the line maxed out Christian Wilkins. Now he's going to be head on with guys, and he's going to have to disengage from blockers, and he's going to have to push the pocket. And I don't know if that fits his skill set. And I'm curious. I do definitely have him in my top 10. He's number 9 on my list. I have way more important players, like the guys who produce impact plays, like sacks and forced fumbles, and Jalen Ramsey and Bradley Chubb. I have them higher than Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins, here's my thing about this whole Christian Wilkins thing. How many impact plays can you count on for him per game?
A handful. And listen, I agree with you under the premise of dealing with the contract situation where I can't justify throwing like a big wad of cash at him because, again, he hasn't been enough of an impact player in the pass rush. But as a run defender, I mean, he's been fabulous. I mean, let's be honest, he's been really, really, really good. And I too have my concerns about what kind of a fit he is under this Vic Fangio scheme, but I'm basing it on what I saw the last couple of years, and this is a dude who's done nothing but get better every year. And he also, you throw in the intangibles too. You throw in the intangibles, which include being a leader on defense and pissing off Josh Allen at every turn, and at times maybe even getting him off his game. There's value to that as well.
It is going to be very interesting to see what happens with Christian Wilkins, as I have said to you, and I've done the numbers and I've written the story for alldolphins.com. When you look at the contracts that the new defensive tackles make, and I'm not counting fake money, I'm counting real money, because that's the only thing I ever talk about when we talk about contracts. All of those guys are making about 19 to 18.5. Quentin Williams' deal is 18.5. All of those guys, with the exception of the Buffalo kid,
Ed Oliver.
His deal is a little bit under market, which I found a little bit surprising. He's hey, take it how you want to take it. If I play Christian Wilkins on the 5th-year option and I play him on a franchise tag the next year, and that's a challenge because the Dolphins don't really have the flexibility to use the franchise tag, I would be paying him under $16 million for the next 2 years, a year for the next 2 years. I'm not doing a deal with you for more than $16 million for 3 years. So I'm guaranteeing you I'm going to do math right now, $42 million. That's it. That's my ceiling of what I'm guaranteeing you. And you could throw whatever fake money you want to throw to make yourself feel better in this contract. But if you're not going to accept a contract that guarantees you $42 million, play on the franchise tag and play on the 5th-year option. I don't care. So, and I don't think Christian,
I said he's on the 5th-year option now.
Yeah, and I don't think Christian is going to accept anything less than, he's not going to want to look worse than his peers. And it doesn't benefit the Dolphins to take care of him. So to me, my thought process now is I think Robert Hunt might be my top priority to re-sign. And here's why.
Welcome.
Here's why. One, he's going to be cheaper than everybody. Connor Williams is asking for a top 5 center salary, which I'm not paying that. Top 10, we can discuss it. Top 5, see ya. I'll replace you with Liam Eichenberg next year. And then Robert Hunt, what are we going to pay Robert Hunt? What the man drives a Kia. No disrespect to those who like Kias. But Robert Hunt is like, if I'm Robert Hunt and the Dolphins offer me $97 million in guaranteed money, I'm saying, where do I sign? Like, so I'm just thinking here, that's the man to target. And everybody else, whatever.
Not only that, he plays a position that's been very problematic for the Dolphins for many, many years. If you can lock up a guy, and I had him at number 10 on my list. And I was surprised you had him at number 10. I was surprised he was that high. And if I'm going to sit there and argue with you about it, and I will, because that's kind of the purpose of this list, is I'm very offended that you didn't have Jalen Phillips on your list, because I would argue to you. Oh, I'm sorry. Look again. I do have Jalen Phillips.
You didn't have Bradley Chubb on your list.
I did not have Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb, unfortunately, has been a little bit up and down in his career, and I know, like the acclaim with which he came into the NFL as a 5th overall pick. What was it, 2017 or whatever? He hasn't played like that guy for a lot of his career. I know he had some injury issues after he joined the Dolphins last year, but he wasn't terribly productive. So for me, let's say he was my number 11. I think very, very highly of Robert Hunt. We've had discussions about this before. I think he cleans up the penalties. I think that the guy is like a fixture on this offensive line for the next 6
And that's what they need, because if you look at where this offensive line is, and this is one of my big concerns going into this offseason. I know everybody's focused on the season, but let's just do business a little bit. Your defensive line is up, your offensive line is up. Mm-hmm. All of your trenches is up. You're going to have to rebuild them all. Exactly how are you going to do that if you don't have a cornerstone piece? And Teron Armstead is not a cornerstone piece. He's 32.
Right. Because of age and injury.
Because of age and injury. He's not a cornerstone piece. He's a luxury piece.
Correct.
So you have to have something to build that line around, and you have nothing right now. There is nothing to build that line around.
One quick point I want to make, and if you look at the best teams around the league, like Philly and Frisco right off the bat jump up. Why are they so good? Because they're great on both lines. You're great on both lines. That's a pretty good head start to having a good.
Absolutely.
No, that's the only difference that we had on the list. We had the same guys. We both had Waddle. We're both. I had Holland a little bit higher than you did. And for me, there's a little bit of projection there. He didn't have a great year last year, but he was asked to do different things, kind of help out this year under this scheme. To me, where I think he's going to be allowed to be a true center fielder. I think with the skills I see from the guy, I'm expecting a big year. Fangio's
let me propose this to you.
Go ahead.
Because we've both been sitting here discussing, debating, trying to figure out who's going to fill the tight end coverage guy role, and it might be Jalen Ramsey, even though both of us think it might be Jalen Ramsey. Mm-hmm. But Javon Holland can do that job, and if you just replace somebody back there and play center field, wouldn't that benefit your defense? If we're just thinking out the box here, if you have Javon Holland as your Eric Rowe on those specific downs, and then he's playing closer to the line of scrimmage. He has more of an impact on the game, and then have somebody in the back end, have a Nick Needham go back there to play center field. Doesn't that benefit your defense? You're thinking that now. It could be Trill Williams who plays that Eric Rowe role, and I'm curious to see what he looks like as well.
Oh
You
yeah.
see, the people who are listening can't see your point there. You can't see.
I have that bad habit of forgetting that we do both on YouTube and
Yeah.
audio podcasts on the Fans First Sports Network under Miami Dolphins Insider. My bad for that. Yeah,
We got to consolidate these names. We got to figure this out.
I know. I'll have to. That's the next on my to-do list. Maybe Poupart and Omar would be a good name. I think we'll figure something out. The bottom line is the discussions are good, so that's what matters. No, but I was agreeing with your point. I'm like fascinated by what we're going to see from Trill Williams, and yes, he strikes me as somebody who could play that Eric Rowe role of covering tight ends.
Yeah. So if we have that there, then we don't have to worry about putting Javon Holland in the box. I'm just, I know who Brandon is. I don't know who Deshaun Elliott is. And we know Brandon is not a coverage guy. We know that's not his strength. It's not his forte. Now, can he evolve into that player? Yeah, sure. I am fascinated, without a doubt, about Trill Williams. I want to see him. And people, let's help people understand the fascination. He was dominant. Not dominant. He was very good when we saw him before the injury. We're correct?
Yes,
we were both like, he's the number 3 cornerback. Like, he's pushing for playing time.
Oh,
I expected Byron to come back, but I thought this guy's going to fill in quite nicely for Byron, and they're going to be able to move on. And then he got hurt. So now the question is, what position is he going to play? Is he going to play cornerback? Is he going to play safety? I think he's going to play safety. He says he's going to play safety. And I think he's probably going to evolve into that Eric Rowe role. Now, how he's going to perform in that, we shall see.
No, and Eric Rowe was good in that role for a bit. I know he had the 1 year where it was rough when he got kind of beaten up on by Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. But if Dolphin fans remember, the coverage was very good against both those guys. They just made plays on the ball and he didn't. And this is where you're hoping that Trill Williams does a better job of that. But I think there's definitely something there. Those were the only 2 differences we had. We had the exact same 10 players other than I had Robert Hunt. You had Bradley Chubb, who was my 11. I don't know where you had Robert Hunt on your list.
He was not on my list.
Oh, no, if you went past 10.
I wouldn't have. Connor Williams would have been ahead of him. Let's be.
Yeah, I figured that because you're a Connor Williams guy. I am a Connor Williams guy. Okay. But for the most part, we kind of agree.